Hello everyone and welcome back to Alternative Apex Formula Equal here for the penultimate round of the 2025 season here for the Qatar Grand Prix. The championship for the first time this season can be won in both the drivers and constructors. The Drivers' Championship separated by just 14 points coming in here today. Verstappen ahead of Norris, and the Constructors, a 21-point lead for McLaren means they could take it here today as well. So make sure to watch until the end here, because who knows what we could see. Based on what we've seen so far this season, expect the unexpected, quite frankly. On pole position for today's race, it is the man who could win it all. Max Verstappen lines up on pole position ahead of Carlos Sainz, his former teammate back in 2015. The Williams driver looking to try and take his first win of the season. Could he upset Verstappen's potential crowning day? Behind them on the second row, it's all McLaren as Piastri and Norris line up there, with Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon, two rivals that we've seen together a lot this season together, with Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso on row number 4. Antonelli and Tsunoda round out the top 10 there, with Charles Leclerc in 11th, ahead of Isaac Hadjar and Gabriel Bortoleto. Hadjar still looking for his first points of the season. Lawson behind them with Stroll and Russell on the row behind. Nico Hülkenberg down in 17th place. Colapinto not looking like he's going to get more points here today. Ahead of Jack Doohan, Alexander Albon, and in the last position on the grid, Oliver Behrman looking like he could well continue his pointless streak so far this season. Down on the grid, there is a sense of tension that we haven't felt before this season, because if things were to finish as they start, Max Verstappen will win the championship, although the constructors would still go all the way. Norris here really needs to try and not only make up a position past his teammate, and then the Williams have signed in second, but he really, if he wants to try and win this championship, not just take it to Abu Dhabi, he's going to need to win this race, or at least beat Verstappen in it, and close down that gap further, but that could be quite a big ask. The 5 red lights are on, and we are racing here in Qatar. It's a good start from the pole sitter. Max Verstappen leads us down towards turn 1 as it's free wide for second position behind. Sainz on the inside, the two McLarens wheel to wheel. It's Norris that gets ahead of his teammate there as they head into turn number 2. Sainz, though, still into second position. Norris, one place gain so far, as behind they do battle through the first sector of the lap. That's Alonso and Antonelli going wheel to wheel into the double right-hander. The two drivers here looking to try and maintain their position in the points here. Alonso gets that move done on the Mercedes driver, but up at the front, Max Verstappen is already growing that lead over Carlos Sainz in second, and if he can break that DRS already, that would be critical for his chances at victory here today. Verstappen leads for now. Lando Norris, though, looking to try and take second already at the end of lap number 1. He knows how important this is for his season to try and get ahead of the Williams driver as they head down into turn number 1. Lando Norris to the inside of Sainz. Two drivers, two good friends, do battle here in what is a crucial race. Norris takes second away from the Williams driver, and now he has a clear road ahead of him to challenge Max Verstappen. Behind Piastri going in the wrong direction here. He's been passed by Gasly and Ocon here. The Haas and Alpine drivers trying to make their way past the McLaren as they head into the middle part of the lap. Ocon still on the outside of Piastri, but that'll be the inside, but he doesn't even need it to be the inside. He's got the move done. Ocon clear in to 5th position. Piastri dropping back to 6th. We're already down 3 places in this one. Lando Norris at the end of lap number 2 has Sainz in his mirrors, and it's Sainz who's going to make the move here with the help of DRS. Norris, he couldn't even try to fight that one into turn number 1, as that is Sainz back into second here. Behind Hamilton now is going past Oscar Piastri, and you have to wonder if Piastri has an issue of some kind here, as he's now going to fall behind the Ferrari, who gets up into 6th position. Piastri now down 4 places from the start, as at the end of lap number 3. This time it's Gasly on the move. He's going to pass Norris here and get up into 3rd position. He takes the place away from the McLaren driver, and now Norris is once again in a position to lose the championship. He needs to make that pass back on Pierre Gasly, as further down the order, Piastri does get the move back done on Hamilton, and McLaren continue their hold of what is at the moment the Constructors' Championship lead here, as Norris goes to the inside of Gasly in turn number 1. They're side by side, but Gasly holds on. Piastri now once again dropping through the field. Now with Alonso on his outside, that'll be the inside for turn number 2. Aston Martin versus McLaren. Alonso has been the thorn in the side of the McLaren team as of late, with his back-to-back victories in Brazil and Las Vegas. He now finds himself once again racing with the McLaren. Piastri now is looking in his mirrors at Antonelli in the Mercedes. It is all going wrong here for Oscar Piastri as he's going to get past and he's going to drop down into 9th position. Piastri now down 6 places from when he started. He's losing a position per lap on average, and it looks set to continue as Charles Leclerc is on his tail at the end of lap number 6. They begin lap number 7, and Leclerc will have the DRS. He's going to go to the outside of Oscar Piastri, and as they head into turn number 1, can he carry the momentum all the way around the outside here? Ferrari versus McLaren. Crucial moves for the Constructors' Championship fight. The Ferrari will have the inside line for turn number 2, and he is going to make it stick there. That is Leclerc up into 9th position, Piastri down to 10th place. Next up behind him is Gabriel Bortoleto, who is towards the front of the field. The first of our pit stops. It's Max Verstappen, race leader here. He's been controlling this one by a second and a half, really, over Carlos Sainz. Lando Norris stays out there with Carlos Sainz. Pierre Gasly comes in to the pit lane there, and many others I'm sure will come in behind. Nice clean pit stop there for Max Verstappen. That is what he needed here in this race. Just a clean pit cycle as Norris has reeled back into the rear of Carlos Sainz. This could be an opportunity for him to perhaps jump him in the pits or at least close in on the Williams driver as they both enter the pit lane now, as does the gaggle of cars behind them. It's Sainz ahead of Norris for now. Behind them, that is Hamilton, Alonso with Antonelli and Bortoleto. Two very experienced drivers with two much less experienced drivers behind them there. Norris switch over to the hard compound tyres. That is the same strategy as the majority of the field in this one. Norris there coming out just behind Carlos Sainz still, but not too far off of him as they come towards the pit exit. Where is Max Verstappen and where is Pierre Gasly as they head towards turn 1? Verstappen is going to retake the lead of this one, but Gasly has lost a lot of time in his pit stop and could well drop positions to both Sainz and Norris, and he does just that. Norris back up into the podium places here. Gasly down into 4th position. Sainz not too far up the road though from Norris, and if he could just put in a couple of clean laps, he may well get back into the Williams driver's DRS. As once again it's Ferrari versus McLaren, Piastri versus Leclerc. Russell now watching on as he wants to try and get his first point for what feels like forever with that Mercedes team. Norris is having to look in his mirrors here as Gasly goes to the inside as they head towards turn number 1. Ocon running his tail as well as they head into the braking zone, and there was debris flying there. There was contact between the McLaren and the Alpine. Who did that come off of? The McLaren now on the defensive from the Haas of Esteban Ocon. Ocon trying to go all the way around the outside now and demote Norris down yet another position, and he does just that. Norris drops back another position here behind the Haas driver, and as they head into the double right-hander, it's a missing end plate for Lando Norris. The right front end plate of his front wing is missing. That is crucial. This could be massive for the championship fight, as Alonso's going to make the move on Lando Norris now a lap later, and he's going to get it done easily. Lando Norris down into 6th position. A reminder, if Verstappen wins this race, Norris has to finish on the podium to keep this driver's championship alive. And now look at this, it's the Ferrari of Hamilton making the move as well here, as they battle further up the order. Alonso racing with Esteban Ocon for 4th position. Hamilton has got ahead of Lando Norris now. Norris down to 7th place, and just like Piastri in the first stint, Norris is falling through the field like a stone here. This is worst case scenario for the McLaren team, because not only is this incredibly costly in the Drivers' Championship, but they're going to be losing a huge number of points in the Constructors as well, and it's the Constructors which they had that advantage in. That was the one that they were more confident than ever that they'd be able to win here, as Alonso does now get the pass done for 4th position on Esteban Ocon. Can Alonso make it 3 consecutive podiums here today? That's what he'll be going for. As behind we've got Leclerc and Russell doing battle. Russell finally showing some good form here, as those two drivers have both now cleared Lando Norris, who next up has his teammate Oscar Piastri behind him in 9th position. The two McLarens having a disastrous day here, and even with team orders, I don't think Piastri can afford to stay behind his teammate here, as Piastri goes to the inside and is going to take 9th place away from his teammate there. Antonelli in behind Lando Norris now. He'll be looking to try and take that position away from the McLaren as well and demote Lando Norris out of the points entirely here. Up at the front, Max Verstappen is clear from the field by 6 seconds. A monstrous drive here today, takes us back to some of his brilliant drives previously this season, and as he heads towards the final corner for the final time, the season started with a retirement in Australia from a comfortable lead, but look how he has recovered. Not only is he going to win an incredible 10th race of the season, he is going to be the 2025 Formula Equal Champion. It's Max Verstappen who wins in Qatar. Incredible performance from the Flying Dutchman. He's done it again. Behind him, Carlos Sainz, Pierre Gasly complete the podium there. Good results for both of those teams. Fernando Alonso just misses out on making it 3 consecutive podiums, but Max Verstappen is the man. What a recovery in this championship. from a retirement in the season opener to the champion before we've even got to Abu Dhabi. An incredible, incredible season and an incredible 10th win to go with it. What a race. That was remarkable there. It was just dominance like we haven't seen since, well, Max Verstappen earlier in the season. He has been the only man this season who has dominated on that level in individual races. It had a little bit of a wobble late in the season there for Max Verstappen with those series of poor results, but he has bounced back well. That mistake in the Qatar, I think, lit a fire in him that he has just ridden for the rest of the season here. Max Verstappen, incredible. Lando Norris, a heartbreaking way to lose out there in the end with the front wing damage. But that's racing, sadly. That is racing, and it was his mistake into the back of Pierre Gasly. Pierre Gasly got away with that without any damage there and did hold on to take that podium for the Alpine team. Carlos Sainz is second for Williams, is huge in their fight with Aston Martin and Mercedes. This is now looking like a horrible end to the season for the Mercedes team, although at least it is a Mercedes-powered car that is still in the fight for the constructors with Red Bull and Ferrari. McLaren still looking strong in that championship, but much less strong than they were certainly coming into today. The official results then for the Qatar Grand Prix are Max Verstappen ahead of Carlos Sainz and Pierre Gasly, Fernando Alonso in 4th position ahead of Esteban Ocon, Lewis Hamilton in 6th place ahead of George Russell in 8th place. It was Charles Leclerc with Oscar Piastri in 9th, and Lando Norris did cling on to just 1 point here today in Qatar. In the all-important Constructors' Championship, Verstappen takes 25 points for Red Bull there. That is much more than Ferrari with only 12 and only 3 points going the way of McLaren. The Constructors' Championship fight is going to be closer than ever going to Abu Dhabi. So if you're thinking, well, the Drivers' Championship's done, why tune in? That is why, because those 3 teams are incredibly close going into the finale here. As we do now look at the Drivers' Championship, Verstappen ahead of Lando Norris by a crucial 38 points. He only needed it to be 25 after today, but 38 points is plenty to take that championship early in Qatar, ahead of Lando Norris in 2nd place, who is locked into that position. The fight for 3rd, it's Leclerc ahead of Hamilton. Alonso sneaking his way into that particular fight, although it would be a very unlikely situation for him to take that away in the end. George Russell clinging on still to that 6th place in the Drivers' Championship after being in the Drivers' Championship fight earlier in the season. He now finds himself looking in the mirrors at Pierre Gasly, right behind him, as well as Carlos Sainz, 2 drivers who have as many wins as he does in this season so far. In the Constructors' Championship, McLaren do still lead the way by 2 points though. It came in today at over 20, it's now just 2. Ferrari 12 points off the lead. They're going to need to really put in a performance like no other if they want to take this championship away from their rivals. Or if McLaren and Red Bull both fumble, then maybe Ferrari can take it that way. But based on recent events, Ferrari need to step up their game just a little bit here if they want to win this team's championship. McLaren and Red Bull, it's all about execution. Can Max Verstappen put in another dominant drive? If he can, well, then Red Bull have a real shot at this. But if Piastri and Norris continue their recent form, where they've just been on the tail of Verstappen, then it's going to be hard for Verstappen on his own to outscore the McLaren team. That's it for the Qatar Grand Prix then in 2025 Formula Equal Series. Well, the championship in the drivers is over. As much as at times it looked like it could go all the way to Abu Dhabi, it hasn't quite managed it. But that wasn't the championship that I told you would go all the way. Whilst at times I said perhaps it would, the one that I was sure would go all the way was the Constructors, although even I wouldn't have been confident enough to say there'd be only 2 points in it going into Abu Dhabi. That is an incredibly small margin, and well, who knows what we're going to see next time out. It is going to be a thriller, so I do hope you'll all join us in a week's time for the season finale in Alternative Apex Formula Equal. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, goodbye.